This is Power 102 Digital on a Friday. The Fathers Association or the Single Fathers Association host Hard Talk. The theme today, International Men's Day activities. On the system with me is the Shervon. Hard Talk starts now, right here, Power 102 Digital Friday. Good afternoon, Shervon.
Hey, good afternoon, Mac. How you doing, brother?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Stand by, folks. We are awaiting Shervon to continue with today's program, Hard Talk International Men's Day activities. Let me say hi
Hi,
to
Mac. Are
Becky.
you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay, my apologies. I was talking all along. I thought you were hearing me
No,
until
no,
you
no.
said that just now. I realized you weren't hearing me.
No, we won't.
So good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Power 102 family. Thank you all for joining in this evening, Mac. Thank you and the the executive at Power 102 for giving men this very important space. Um, so we announced last week that we have a couple International Men's Day activities that are starting from this Sunday. And so this Sunday we begin with a march to highlight the issues impacting men in Trinidad and Tobago. And we call on all men and women, not just men and women, because the issues that impact men impact families. And so we call on all men and women to come out on Sunday. We begin at 8 o'clock, and the meeting point is at the corner of Abercrombie Street and the Brian Lara Promenade. That's the meeting point at 8 o'clock, and we begin marching. We are going north on Abercrombie Street, up the Tragarit Road, west on Tragarit Road, and then north on Stanmore Avenue up to the Queen's Park Savannah. So the meeting point is 8 o'clock, and we are meeting at the corner of Abercrombie Street to the top or bottom, depending on how you look at the map of Abercrombie Street from the Brian Lara Promenade end. And oh, I see Wendell is jumping on. Afternoon, Wendell. How you doing, brother?
Good evening, Matt. Good evening, Shervon. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, good afternoon, my
Okay.
brother.
So Mark, since you all have given us the space, we are here pounding the pavement, so to speak, bringing awareness to the different issues impacting men. And one of the things that Wendell and I said this at the very first program we ever did, is that we cannot go about bringing sustainable change or lasting change by tackling one case at a time or one situation at a time, because it's too much. There's not enough of us, Mac, and there are too many issues. And so, what we have stressed from the beginning is us coming together with one voice and calling on those in authority to join with us, or allow us to join with them in creating sustainable change, which starts with systems, right? Some of the systems, the policies, the legislative um, issues, that legislative things that need to be addressed. And so, to me, Wendell, and to me, Mark, this Sunday, starting Sunday, we have the opportunity to do so if we show up in our numbers. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I quite agree. I quite agree.
Wendell, are
I
you
want,
there?
yes,
Oh,
I want to say to our listeners on Trinidad and Tobago on the whole, um, we have to realize sooner than later that our country is in a crisis when it comes to men's mental health and well-being. Um, we take for granted that the situations that men face, it's not going to affect some of us. A lot of men are happily married and relationships are going great. I remember when we started the Single Fathers Association, and we would be in different forums speaking about the challenges that single fathers are facing. There are many people who took up the position. Well, that's not my problem. You know, um, a lot of people even misunderstood the reason for the Single Fathers Association and even misunderstood the name of the Single Fathers Association, because I had people saying to me, we are encouraging single fatherhood. And, I had to explain to people we call it the Single Fathers Association because we were representing the rights of fathers who now found themselves in a single father type situation, representing them in order to be able to help them to access their rights as a father. Right now, we have many men who were happily married back then who have since contacted the Single Fathers Association for our assistance and our guidance because they then found themselves in a situation of a broken relationship or a broken marriage and found themselves being alienated from their children or having to face a difficult time before the court as well as at the hands of the children's mother. And I want to say to people out there, you all need to recognize that men are under attack in this society. Men are being broad brushed because there have been a few bad men in the past. Men have been broad brushed as a result of the actions of a few, and that is very unfortunate. To have a society that thinks all men are bad or all men do not deserve to have our rights to certain things and to our children and so on. And I listened to Rondell on the live this morning on his way back from Mexico, and many have been the times when Rondell and I have had to speak and encourage each other to continue this battle, to continue this fight to represent men with the hopes that change are going to come and our sons will not have to go through what we have been through, and by extension, the mothers and fathers who also have sons, they will not have to go through the trauma that we have had to go through facing the court, being in a situation where the court and their rulings also assist the mothers in alienating the children, and they do so by saying they're representing the best interests of the child. And when we look at it, the course idea or best interest of a child is to have the child have a visiting relationship with his or her father every other weekend. And I mean, anyone with a good head on their shoulders can tell you that a father cannot have a meaningful impact on a child's life, and it is going to be extremely difficult for a father to have a meaningful impact on a child's life by having a visiting relationship of every other weekend. And I want you to be able to understand that this is what you are potentially facing. You could be the next victim of such a situation. And we have been pleading with the legislators, with the ministers, with the attorney general, with people in positions of power and authority. We have been pleading with them to recognize that there is an inequity in the system. We have been pleading with them to address the injustices that are being meted out, and it seems to have been falling on deaf ears. And year after year, as I said, I was listening to Rondell on that live, and really it brought tears to my eyes because I could see how the difficulty that my brother is facing. And I could tell you people, you know, in the beginning of this Single Fathers Association, I was on the ground. I left my work undone. I left my business. I closed my business. Wherever I had to go to meet with men, take time off, and I suffered financially because we are not financed by anyone, and I have not yet recovered from that. Activism is not it's a sacrificial thing, and it's very difficult. It takes a toll on your health as well. And as Shervon was saying, we cannot continue to do it alone. We need the men who we have helped, and we need people with good heads on their shoulders to recognize that this is a necessary battle that we are fighting, and come and join, represent. Rondell is not going to be here forever. Wendell Grant is not going to be here forever. I have health challenges right now, and a lot of it is as a result of the shifts that I've faced in dealing with situations through the Single Fathers Association. We need men to rise up.
Wendell, all that you said is very true and on point. And I really hope, and I just want to add to it as well. You may not, as you said, Wendell, may not be going through a situation where you are going through separation. You may never, right? I pray your relationship stays intact and you don't ever have to go through the experiences that some of us have. But that doesn't mean the things that we are advocating for, it also impacts you because it's beyond separation, right? We spoke at length on one of our programs about paternity leave, right? Paternity leave impacts everyone who is a father, whether you are separated, whether you are married, whether you are unmarried. It impacts you as long as you have a child coming into this world. Paternity leave impacts you. It impacts your family. It impacts your ability to be there for your family, right? We spoke about men's health, men's mental health, and suicide. Mark, Wendell, I know you saw it because we were discussing it in the group. But Mark, there was another case. It was in the newspaper this morning where a 16-year-old boy, another minor, has committed suicide. Right? The issues impacting men's mental health is it's not just separation. It's the weight that the man has to carry on his shoulder, and the lack of support systems in place, the cultural issues, right? Or the cultural stereotypes where a man has to carry these things and carry these things in silence and sometimes alone, right? And ignored, because we pointed out in dealing with men's mental health and in suicides that the Minister of Social Development and Family Services, in her speech, I think it was last year, made no mention that the greatest at-risk population with regards to suicides are males in Trinidad and Tobago. And we pointed out that it wasn't just men, but it was men and boys. And we saw in the last, month, recorded at least in the media, that there were 2 young men, right? I think Jaden Lalchan is the first young man's name who took his life due to alleged bullying. And then we have this young man who took his life on yesterday. So these are things, and if you would note through the wisdom of Wendell and Rondell and Marlon and others, that the Single Fathers Association in time, the name evolved to the Fathers Association. Because we started looking at all of the issues that impact men, right? And so the issue of crime and gang culture and recruiting youths into that, we touched on that over the months of this program. So the issues that we raise and are pertinent to every man and every family. And that is why we call on the women to join as well. Because the suicide victim could be your husband. The suicide victim could be your son or your grandson or your nephew. That could be the person in your home. And so we are calling on men and women to stand up. And we know when women come together, they rally. Right? They come out. But we're calling on men. It is time to stand up. Stop asking what the Fathers Association doing, what Rondell Fields doing, what the Single Fathers Association doing to help. No, what are we doing to help ourselves? And this is an opportunity for us to make a statement. Starting this Sunday, it is an opportunity for us to make a statement and make it loud that men's issues matter, and we demand from our politicians, we demand from our legislators, we demand from the judiciary as well to meet with men and listen to men and let us craft solutions that are impacting men and boys in Trinidad and Tobago. Crime is another issue we touched on. Crime isn't limited to fathers. Yes, the majority of people who are being murdered as a result of crime are men and boys. But that means families are being ripped apart. So we are saying, get off that high horse about my relationship, fine, because I hear that too, Wendell, and I know about that. Get off that high horse about everything good in your neck of the woods, right? And come out, come on the ground, and be a part of the solution before the problems that are plaguing our society reach your home. Before it reaches on your front door, or before it reaches in your bedroom. And then you want help. I saw a meme on social media recently where there are about 4 people on a boat. The leak is to the back of the boat though, and the 2 to the back of the boat bailing away crazy, trying to get the water out. And the 2 to the front of the boat say, huh, good thing that problem had nothing to do with we now, we in front here. That is sometimes our reaction to problems in Trinidad and Tobago. Not realizing that the whole ship is sinking. But we're watching people who directly in the line of the problem, and we're saying that had nothing to do with me. Not realizing if we don't reach out and help them bail it out too, it's only a matter of time before the whole ship goes under. So Sunday we're calling on men. Go ahead, Wendell. Sorry about that.
That is a very, very important point that you're making there. The whole ship is under threat, and you know, we are living in the age of social media, and whatever happens in any little corner of Trinidad and Tobago, it makes it onto the news, whether it be mainstream news or social media. It's out there, and people can see that the entire ship, the entire boat is under threat right now, not because in your little corner where you are as an individual, there are no holes and there is no need to bail where you are. But the very same child that is frustrated, the same boy child that is frustrated, that cannot be heard, that is unrepresented, the very same boy who is taken away from his father and brought up by his mother, and has no guidance, no male presence in his life to guide him in a disciplined manner, to correct him, to give him that masculine love and energy that every child needs, that same little boy could become a pest and take the life of the son of your good self who is in your corner, saying that that is not my problem. And we have the ideology in this country that it is a certain denomination, the offspring of a certain denomination of people that are a race of people that are committing the crime, and while that may be so to a larger extent, don't stay in your corner and say, that's not my problem, because listen, the problem will make its way to you one of these days. I guarantee you that, right? If we as a people do not stand up together and hold this government accountable to do something to stop the crime, to address the situation of delinquency, to address men's issues, and where there is inequity and injustice. If we as a nation do not band together and do something about it, then something will be done to us eventually. I mean, it is foolish to see the train running away, accelerating down the track, and it is within your power to pull the emergency brakes, and you're looking at Rondell Fields and Wendell and Shervon to pull, and Marlon and the super pull the emergency brakes. That is utter foolishness, and this is what a lot of people are doing, and Shervon can testify to that. We have had people who have come to the Single Fathers Association for assistance, and because we are just a few, not even a handful, that are out here in the trenches helping people, and those individuals think to themselves that they did not get the help that they were looking for in a timely manner. They ask questions such as what Shervon mentioned: what is the Single Fathers Association doing? The members of this association, we work to provide for our family. We toil with our hands to provide for our family. We have lives, we have health problems, we have other areas of difficulties like every other human being has. And nobody gives us anything for free to assist us, to assist men in this country. And there is, as human beings, we are limited. And this is why we are saying to Trinidad and Tobago and to men, you need to rise up. It seems like I often wonder, Shervon, I have received some calls at times from men, and the men can't even speak to articulate what it is that's happening with them. The women have to come on. Sometimes the present wife or the present girlfriend or a grandmother or a sister or aunt would come on and speak to these men. And I often ask myself the question, what did these mothers do to these men as boys that they don't even have the confidence to articulate themselves? We have crisis in many areas where men are concerned, and men have no space to freely express themselves. Even when the Single Fathers Association tried to provide a space in the Single Fathers group, and we allowed women to also rub shoulders within the confines of the social media group. We had women coming in there and bashing these men, emasculating them, disrespecting them, ridiculing them, insulting them. Right? We had to actually ban a few of them from the group. And this is the kind of treatment that men receive. If you're doing that on a social media group, think about what is actually happening in the home. You all wouldn't like to hear what I have to deal with on a daily basis, and by the grace of God, I compose myself and I continue to put one foot before the other and walk in faith in order to keep it all together. It is not easy. Men are under threat. And we need women. There are mothers and grandmothers and aunts. You all know what I'm talking about. You all know what your son or your brother brother-in-law or whoever. There are some women out there. You all know the kind of woman that your sisters are and what they are doing to their husband, and that men need help. We need women like you to stand up with the Single Fathers Association and make a difference.
You know, Wendell, well, let me just say good afternoon to Biznat, Stashil, Sally, Coyote, Dan, those of you all who are messaging in, good afternoon. Keep sending your messages. Feel free to call in as well. But I want to add, so just if you're now coming on, before I go forward, if you're just coming on, we are discussing the issues. We are discussing the upcoming International Men's Day conference and activities that are starting from this Sunday, right? This Sunday, we are marching from the Brian Lara Promenade and the corner Abercrombie Street and the Brian Lara Promenade. We are marching towards the Queen's Park Savannah to bring awareness to the issues impacting men in Trinidad, men and boys in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, and what we are saying, we are calling on men and women to come out in their numbers. You all have been calling us by phone or messaging us or emailing us in numbers to say we need your help, and we have been saying we can't change this just by one problem at a time. We need systemic changes, we need legislative changes, we need policy changes, cultural changes, and it starts this Sunday. We need to show up in our numbers and show the leaders, show those in charge that listen, we demand a change for how we treat, how we perceive, how we culture men and boys in Trinidad and Tobago. So everyone should be out there in their numbers. We start at 8 o'clock, God's willing, right? And then on Monday, we have the Youth Empowerment Day, right? Youth Empowerment Day. This will be held at the Nalis Library in Port of Spain. We'll have some powerful speakers, entertainers, influencers, and so on, where we will be engaging the youth in different conversations and activities surrounding issues that are impacting youth in Trinidad and Tobago. And then on Tuesday, we have the final event, which is the men's event, and that is on Tuesday, the men's event, where we will also have panelists, again, powerful speakers, to engage men and hear from the men who attend the issues impacting men, which we're very aware of, and also to discuss solutions. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, please make sure and show up. On Monday and Tuesday, there's a registration form on our page, on our Fathers Association, Single Fathers Association Facebook page. There's a registration form there. Please go and fill that form out to reserve your seat, because it's obviously there's limited seating capacity, so you would want to reserve your seat. So just to continue from where you were, Wendell, you know, one of the things we've noticed as a culture, as a society, is if your party in power, the party you support in power, you don't want to say anything about problems facing people in Trinidad and Tobago. And if your party is in opposition, well, then you get a voice. You're ready to talk about the problems because you want to make your party look good and the other party look bad. And so it's race, as you pointed out, Wendell, and also politics. And I want to say to Trinidad and Tobago, I assure you, and anyone who has been a victim of crime can assure you as well, that when the bandit come in your house, or when the bandit grab you when you're going in your car, and all the things that we see happening now, None of them don't ask, are you a PNM or a UNC? They don't ask. They don't care if you're a PNM or a UNC. They are going to wreak havoc and destruction and bring trauma to your life and to your family. So we need to separate ourselves, Colorado and Tobago, all right. And when you go back to your homes, you are at risk. When your children go to school and are walking the streets, they are at risk. So we need to move away from that silly thinking about, well, I don't want to say nothing because I don't want my party look bad. Listen, you need to focus on the children in your home, the husband in your home, the man and boy in your family. You need to focus and do right by them as well. So ignore the politics, and we need to show up coming this Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for men in Trinidad and Tobago. And boys, men and boys in Trinidad and Tobago. Wendell, are you there?
Yes, Shervon. And you're quite right about what you're saying with regards to families need to pay attention to the fact that we are not immune. No individual, no child, no man, no woman, no person in this country is immune from the ills of this society. We are not living in isolation. We are not living somewhere in a fortress. At some point in time, it is going to come home, and we need to recognize the source of it. We need to recognize the deterioration that is taking place of the human element in our society.
Stick up in there. Let's stick up in. I have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Yes, I have a problem, right? I meet a woman with 5 children and 3 fathers. She make a child for me, she put me in court and said I drink rum and beat you. I do not drink rum, I don't smoke. I just admitted to everybody that I am a smoker of marijuana. And this woman put me in court and said I just beat you. She have 5 children with 3 different guys. Now she leave me, she's pregnant for the next one. I have no children. This child I have with her is the only child. And she fighting me and saying I don't pay maintenance. I have all my receipts that I paid since July last year until now. I miss one day I was short of $100 because I stay 300 every week. I try my best because it's not a permanent worker. I just need help. Today we go to court, we got our date for today. Well, it's just to give we our date ready for the court. And she keep curling and saying that I just abuse she. I don't have no communication with this woman at all. I block she on everything, WhatsApp, everything. She cannot call my phone because if I call to ask about my child, she have a protection order against me. The first thing coming out she must, remember I have a protection order. So I does not want to breach the order. I don't call she, I don't message she, I have nothing to do with her. Now she is pregnant for her next guy.
Shervon?
Hello?
Yes.
Next guy.
Are you finished, sir?
Hello?
Yes, are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have some numbers that we put up, and you can take the numbers and you can call one of us or message us after the program.
Okay.
Okay.
I take a number that I call and I message one just now.
All right, hold on. Yes, Mark.
I believe that he has the number that is of the radio station. So if you can share at least one number that he can contact you guys.
Okay. great. All right, so my number is 354-6991.
That's the one. 25469.
354-6991.
Yes, sir. I'm going to some market because right now I'm at the police station, David, waiting for my child to come at 5:30.
Where you from, South?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you want to call out your number? I'll give you a call after the program.
3739617.
9617.
3739617.
All right, got it. And I'll call you afterwards.
Okay, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
you can hang up here now. Okay, so this particular issue that this gentleman just highlighted is a very common issue, a very common problem that we get calls concerning. And I don't think that the nation truly has an understanding of the extent that some of these females out here go to keep a man away from his children. Not only to keep him away from his children, but it's a sort of vengeance, vengeful and spiteful, destructive sort of behavior and attitude towards men and fathers. This is very real, and it is unfortunate, and I've been speaking about this. You heard the gentleman say that the lady has a protection order. Now, the Domestic Violence Act that was created also offered the instrument of a protection order, but in many instances, what has happened and what has been happening is that women are weaponizing this protection order, and I'll tell you what they're doing. So a lot of men go to court. They get the magistrate, after hearing the case, or the judge, they give them an access order to their children. And then the woman goes and makes a lie, accusing the gentleman of threats or of violence and so forth. And she gets a protection order, which is commonly known as a restraining order. Now, when there's a restraining order in place, the gentleman is not allowed to go within a certain number of feet of her, or call her phone, or try to contact her through any friends or family members or so. So what that effectively does is render the access order that the man has to access his child powerless, because he can't go around her. If he goes around her, he calls her. And you heard what the man says, he is waiting by the police station for her to bring the child. Now, if she doesn't bring the child, the police has no power to go and take the child from her or make her give him the child. And many times the men will sit at the police station or the designated place of exchange of the child and wait, and the woman never shows up. These are some of the things, the challenges that men are facing. And we keep speaking about this. We keep telling those in authority that there need to be amendment to the laws where women are made to be held accountable and penalized for their refusal to obey the court order and all of this. And it continues to fall on deaf ears. Shervon, go ahead.
Shervon, are you there?
Shervon, I'm seeing you, but not hearing you.
Yeah, we're not hearing him. I don't know. He's frozen up there for a while. Okay, he left to come again.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
added to that, Wendell, is that what I've realized too, based on what the guy is saying, is like it seems as though it's a method of just wanting money, you know, because you know, he said he's trying his best to come up to his commitments, you know, to meet his commitments of paying that money every week, you know, and still although he's not within any kind of touching range of the woman. He still has problems, but the money is being accepted.
And do you know something, Mac?
Yeah.
A lot of time in a lot of situation, do you know there are men like yourself and myself,
Hmm.
men who are police officers, male men who are police officers, who allow themselves to be solicited into the service of the woman to
Hmm.
terrorize and victimize that man
Yes.
who is in that situation. Those
Yeah.
are the kinds of things that are happening. When we see, and you know what, I've been saying this since I joined the Single Fathers Association, because I'll tell you something. I would have been a possible perpetrator of certain crimes had I had the Single Fathers Association not come into being to give me a place where I could rub shoulders with men and understand that it was not I alone that was facing such injustices, right? But this type of injustice has been and is ongoing, right? The women weaponizing the instruments of law. One of the other weapons that they're using is accusations of sexual impropriety against fathers, right? And I'm speaking about these things because I want Trinidad and Tobago to know it may not be happening to you right now, and you may be saying to yourself, that can't happen to me. But do you have a son? Do you have a grandson? Do you have sons, grandsons? Do you have nephews? It could happen to them. And if you love them, you will have to stand by and see them hurting, right? And what I've been saying over the years, I am quite surprised that there are not more murder suicides taking place in this society, because you listen to the frustration of that man. All that man wants to do, like most men would want, is to live peacefully and be able to see his child. That's all that man wants, He don't want no problems. There are a lot of men in the society who are simply paying maintenance so that they will stay out of jail. That's their stay out of jail fee. Pay the maintenance. Some of them gave up on even trying to access their children because the children are being used as weapons against them. So they just give up, pay the maintenance, because all the woman is really interested in, Mark, as you said, is money. The men are ATMs. And you know what? The judiciary is assisting in this injustice without proper investigation, with making judgments without listening to the man. We have magistrates who will tell a man, I don't want to hear nothing you're saying, because the woman cried 2 crocodile tears and bust 2 lies and make it look like she's a victim. But we have an ideology in the system that in this society and in this system, that men are villains and women are victims. So from the time a man appears before any judicial seat, he is immediately a villain, a perpetrator of something. And whatever the woman says, he's a perpetrator of that. Do you know the manner in which the domestic violence law is written? Once a woman applies for that protection order, and the magistrate is not convinced that the man is not guilty, without a proper investigation again, nobody sends out anybody to investigate to see if this matter is the woman say, and she is in danger, and the children in danger, and he did this and he did that. Protection order is written. So we need to put a stop to these things. And the only way that we can put a stop to these things is one voice, one people rising up and saying, we recognize that there is inequity, we recognize that there are injustices taking place, and we want it to stop. Yes, Shervon, you on there?
Yeah. Some technical difficulties, but I'm back on. Good afternoon to Sunil. Good afternoon to Christian. But That call, I missed part of it because of the technical issues that I had. But that call highlights why we are calling on men and women to come out starting this Sunday and to participate in all of the International Men's Day activities that we have lined up over the next 3 days, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, right? That is exactly, again, I heard in part yourself and Mac speaking about it. It's a systemic issue. It's a systemic issue, right? It's, last week or week before we were discussing relationships. Week before, not last week. Those are cultured issues, psychological issues, and but when people believe, and Wendell, it's in the study in Spain, right? One of the things they saw in Spain is a decrease in what they called wife-initiated divorces, because no longer they saw the court as a tool which they can use as an upper hand to get an advantage in a situation, right? That upper hand wasn't there anymore. So what they had to do now is for us to address the issue like two big people, because there's no child to use as a pawn, right? There's no court to use in the middle as a game. And so what we have to do is come together and address the issues and not let emotional situations and emotional and let our feelings tear us apart. We recognize at the end of the day, and we are not blinded by it, there are both men and women who engage in abusive behavior. They abuse their spouses. They abuse their partners. We are aware of that, right? We are not naive to it, but we are also aware that there are those who use domestic violence as a tactic and a strategy to get their way, to get what they want, to alienate the other party, to push them away, to make them look, as Wendell put it, as the bad guy. We are aware of that, but that requires systemic changes. Do you know how many calls and messages we get around that on a daily basis and weekly and monthly basis? Fixing a case or fixing your case won't resolve the systemic issues. And so, again, that is one. I'm glad that person called. I'm glad that gentleman called, because this is what we're saying. This is why we need to come out on Sunday and participate in the match. This is why we need to be present on Monday. If we have youths, we need to bring our youths out on Monday, God's willing, at Nallis and Nallis Potter Spain. And this is why we need to be present on Tuesday at the Government Campus Plaza to participate in the Men's Day and the men's conversations. This is why we need to people present, so that we can not just say we have so many issues, but begin to demand conversations around solutions for the issues that we have. It's only so long, Wendell put it, that himself, Rondell, Marlon, myself, only so long we could continue screaming this from mountaintops. At the end of the day, if we don't come together as a society, if we don't come together as a people, we will not see the changes that we need. We will not see it. So we have to come together, brothers and sisters, Trinidad and Tobago. We have to come together. So again, for those of you all just coming online, we announced on last week that we have some International Men's Day activities coming up starting this Sunday. This Sunday is the march, right, to bring awareness to men's issues. We are marching from the Brian Lara Promenade and Abercrombie Street, that intersection there. We are marching north towards the Queen's Park Savannah. So join us 8 o'clock this Sunday, gathering on the Brian Lara Promenade at the Abercrombie Street intersection. And we are marching north towards the Queen's Park Savannah to bring awareness to the issues impacting men and boys in this country. On Monday, it's the Youth Empowerment Day. We'll be targeting young people on that day. That takes place at Nallis Potter Spain. And on Tuesday, we will be at the Government Campus Plaza tackling the issues pertaining to men. We also expect on those days we expect to have some regional representation from men's bureaus and gender ministries from some of our brothers and sisters up the islands. And so we hope they can make it. We look forward to having them as well, because if we can begin that groundswell of change here and it echoes throughout our Caribbean brothers and the Caribbean nations and our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, it benefits all of us as a society, right? I don't just read newspapers here in Trinidad and Tobago. I look at what's happening regionally and around the world, and the things that are impacting us are impacting them as well. My daughter, you all hear me speak about her all the time. She is from one of those Caribbean islands. And so I am concerned about what I see spreading across the region in terms of crime, in terms of juvenile delinquency, in terms of suicides, in terms of the men issues. I am concerned about it as well. So I am glad our regional colleagues have seen this as a value and important for them to be here. And we look forward to having them here with us as well. So, Wendell, there's a situation that, we mentioned it earlier, and I'll mention it again for those of you who are just coming on. Yesterday we saw the report on social media, and today it was confirmed on the newspapers that there's a young man, 16 years old, I believe, who took his life. And this follows closely to another young man just a few weeks prior who also took his life. And we have been saying the issues surrounding men's mental health and boys' mental health cannot be ignored any longer. The statistics as it relates to the suicide rates among men are damning. Mark, did you say something? Do you have a call there?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, the statistics are damning, and I'm trying to pull it up here for you all. Right? My apologies, but the statistics are wrong. The issues impacting men's mental health, it's damning. I'll pull up right. In 2019, there were 92 suicides in Trinidad and Tobago. In 2020, there was 104 suicides. In 2021, there were 128 suicides. And 79.8% of those suicides were male. All right, round it off, 80%. 80% of that figure were men and boys, 20% women. In 2021, from January to August, 77 men and boys between the ages of 9. Listen to me carefully, Trinidad and Tobago. Not the age of 99, not the age of 90, not the age of 19. 77 men and boys from the age of 9 years old all the way to 60 took their lives. I want that to sink in for a second. From 9 years old, we have males in this country committing suicide. And for the very same period, 9 women and girls committed suicide from the age of 26 to 60. Am I saying the girls who took their lives are any less important than should we focus on? Absolutely not. We don't want anyone taking their lives. We don't want anyone thinking suicide is the only way out of whatever they are facing externally or internally. But look at the disparity
in the numbers. 9 years old. 9 years old. And already for this last quarter of the year, we've had 2 young teenagers commit suicide within the last couple of weeks. So Wendell said it earlier, and I emphasize for those just coming online, this is not an issue of, oh, them my family good. I have no issues. Me and my wife good. Me and my girlfriend good. Me and my child mother good. We ain't fighting in no court. We don't have the problems them men have. No, it's not just about that. It's maintenance, yes. Shared cost, shared parenting, yes. Parental alienation, yes. All very important. And there are others. So even if you are not in that relationship status of separation or divorce, there are other issues that can come home to you. I say it all the time on this program that there are days I sit, or nights I sit and I look at my 2 boys fast asleep, and I'm wondering, Mac, if everything is okay inside their minds. I'm wondering if there are any pressures they are dealing with to the point that they may consider taking this dreadful route. Because I am aware, and we are making you aware as well, based on these statistics, how at risk men and boys are when it comes to suicides. Show up, Trinidad and Tobago, on Sunday. Show up and let your voices be heard. Show up. For those of you all are tuned in now, you can call in 222-8255, 222-8255. WhatsApp 868-318-1021. Or if you're listening in the US and Canada, we have a toll-free number 866-525-1099. And for many who don't know, Mac, the concept of International Men's Day was founded right here in Trinidad and Tobago by one of our very own sons of the soils, Dr. Jerome Tilok Singh. And we've also invited him to participate in the day's activities. And so, again, it's a moment for us to celebrate that such a significant day in our calendar was founded right here in Sweetie Auntie Mac.
Yeah, I'm listening. Well, that I didn't know. I'm happy to be educated about that. I thought it was a UN thing.
No. Actually, the sad thing is, I don't know if it has changed. If it has, I apologize. The United Nations, on the day that we celebrate Men's Day, actually celebrate the day of the toilet.
Oh my.
Yeah, Mark, I'm serious, Mark.
Oh Lord.
I am serious. The World Toilet Day. The United Nations celebrates that on the day that we celebrate International Men's Day.
And let us add that and let us also add that the United Nations, who celebrates World Toilet Day on November 19, also refuses to recognize International Men's Day.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're correct, Wendell. I was going to add that there. Yeah. I was going to add that there. The UN has not yet ratified, as they say, their convention or whatever it is to make it an official observance on behalf of the UN. They have not. Which again is sad, because you look at, and I've been trying to stay away from this Wendell.
That being the case also, Shervon, even though many nations around the world recognizes International Men's Day and celebrate International Men's Day, yet the UN has failed to recognize it.
Yes, you're correct. And I was going to make the point there that it speaks to the disparity in treatment of men and women in our society, right? And it and we are even seeing it. I didn't see Rondell's live this morning, so I don't know if he touched on it. We are even seeing it in terms of the preparation of this event or the support for this event. You're seeing a very different approach. Wendell, you, Rondell, and myself attended a couple weeks ago a domestic violence conference. Not so? That was
Correct,
by the
correct, but that was a shameful, disgraceful um thing to call it a domestic violence consultation. And I want to say this: they call it a domestic violence consultation, but the public was never consulted. What we had was a group of politicians and who's who making their speeches and eating up all the time, and when it was time for the public to make their contributions, it was less than half an hour that the public had to make their contributions. That was absolutely disgraceful.
And it was, and I agree with you. But I want to focus on this part here, Wendell. Notice where that conference was held. It was held within the confines of the Hyatt Hotel. Yes? And there was wonderful lunch served and desserts and all with lovely atmosphere that the Hyatt gives. Do you notice where I said the International Men's Day Conference is being held? Wendell?
On the street.
No, Government Campus Plaza.
Oh, you mean the conference? The conference,
yes,
yeah.
Yes, the conference. Yeah. Government
yeah.
Campus Plaza.
Government Campus, yes.
Right? Notice the disparity. Right? Notice the difference. Notice the difference. Right? We all know the major victim of domestic violence, a woman. Right? Mm-hmm. No, it isn't as straightforward as they try to make it seem, and I wouldn't go into all of that right now. But they are the major victims on record. And so this event, as I said, put together, hosted in style at the Hyatt Hotel, one of their conference rooms. We get the Government Campus Plaza. That's what we get. Mm-hmm. So I liken this to what we were saying there, Mac, about International Men's Day, because the United Nations does not recognize International Men's Day as an official day, right? And instead, on that day, it is the day of the toilet.
Stick up in, we have a caller. Good afternoon, caller.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon, brother.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Shervon Tobago.
How you doing?
In here, and not too bad, not too bad. Safiz and Shervon, I tune in here and I can't help but to just be laughing at everything comes out only more than just laughing, because a lot of the things I've been victim of. And sometimes I ask myself, what can we do different so that this don't continue, right? But I say to people, come weekend, these forums, we need to come out and show ourselves in order, I feel, to get this change. And I want to say to the men here today, even the women, if you're a victim of such, come out and stand up for your rights. If you didn't do something, don't just sit back there and say, that is how society is. Because I think that is why this thing continuing. Because we sit back and say, boy, everybody says man, is woman, and just give you the blind. But I will use myself as an example. I end up in a police station making report after report after report. And I will have people watching me and like, everybody about the business all the time. As they hear me mention, she say, or she do this and she do that, everybody forget what they're doing and watching at me. And I'll say, yes, I come to make a report on a woman. I keep saying it. Because, again, which is the other way around? You won't see them doing that. Everybody else go about their business. She likes to come and make the report. But if the man making the report is looking at you like, that can't happen. So as I always speaking, it's like deja vu, But I also say this, that the people that complaining, right? They are also the people that encouraging it. Because I will use the example here. This is just my example, right? The election just went in the States. Everybody complain. And that's not a political thing, right? It's just a point I'm trying to make, right?
Yeah.
Everybody complaining how the man win, right? And the whole thing. And again, when the women, when they can't get health care, this one when they can't work, right? I made a call to the States, right? Before the election. And I speak to about 5 women. All voted, said they're going to vote, and even after, they said they vote for Trump. I was on a chat, a Caribbean chat, and they vexed. They said it was a gender election and this and that. So I explained to them, don't hurt our head with this thing. Focus on the Caribbean one. I said, but it's the irony. I no disrespect to women. The said woman who complaining is gender, so they didn't want to put the woman, is the said woman who didn't vote for her. So I said this to say, it's the same thing here, just like black people is complaining that they're down on us, but yet, black people doing black people, little black youths killing little black youths, and it's the same thing here now, that men being abused, and it's not being cheated with, but it's the same men is who supporting the woman to abuse a man. That is the trend what I'm seeing. Because come weekend, I'm not going to preempt it. I will leave it till it comes. I will be there. Come weekend, I will be there. But the women could be out there. And then we could cry again. So I know it's a challenge, but I call on the men especially come out and ask for what you want and stand up for your rights. Don't be ashamed. My 2 cents this afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. And he echoes in my ears there, Mark. Bob Marley's song, Get Up, Stand Up. Stand up for your rights.
Yes.
And this is what we are calling on people to do starting this Sunday. Get up, stand up for your rights. It is not a Fields, Grant, Anderson, Lois, Fathers Association thing. This is for us. Don't miss the train. Don't miss the train. We need to come together and show up in numbers for this rally. Bring awareness to men's issues. I want to go back, Mark, to what you were talking about. So, again, disparities, right? The United Nations began celebrating International Women's Day on since 1975, the United Nations began celebrating the 8th of March International Women's Day since 1975, right? Dr. Tilak Singh, from right here in Trinidad and Tobago, he created International Men's Day in 1999. So you are telling me between 1999 and 2024, the United Nations has not seen it fit to recognize International Men's Day.
Let me just say this.
Right?
What the United Nations did see fit was in 2001, which is after 1999. They saw it fit in 2001 to place World Toilet Day on the same day, November 19. Now, you tell me if that is not disgusting, insulting, and malicious.
Disrespectful.
Yes.
Disrespectful. So when people hear us here, people think we just agitators. When people hear us say that there are organizations and world associations like the United Nations who are contributing to the problems that we have today as a society, we're not saying it out of thin air and TNT. We are not. Because look at the picture we just painted for you. They didn't put any other day there or leave it blank in a Mac. They decided to put the World Day of the Toilet on the same day that International Men's Day is celebrated, and has left it that way for the past 20-something years. So I want people to, again, but this is on men. We have to claim our space. It is not sufficient for us to just stay and complain, sit back and complain. Oh, them don't like we. Oh, the system only benefit women. Oh, the system against men. No. Let me tell you all something. If you all have done some reading on history, you see, black people, we would not have, you and I would not have the rights we have today if our ancestors just sit down and say, oh gosh, they don't like Queen Amak. Oh gosh, you know what? They bias against we. No. The rights we have today was earned by blood and sacrifice. People stood up. They rallied. They put their bodies on the line. They put their lives on the line. They paid the ultimate sacrifice for you and I to have the freedoms that we have today. So, men, I have no blame I put on women in a Mac, because at the end of the day, when women organizations they show up, guess what happening? They're showing up. They're showing up.
Yeah.
So I have no quarrel with the things that women have achieved in the years. I support the things that have been given to them. Equal pay. I support the things, equal opportunities. I support those things. I have no issues with it. We have to take responsibility, though, as men, for the corner that we've allowed ourselves to be placed in, because we have just sat in corners and relied on an individual or an organization to do all the work. And that isn't going to fly. We'll get nothing from that. We have to come together. We have to come together. Get up, stand up for your rights. I call on the grandmothers and the mothers who've been calling us. You all know yourselves. You all have reached out to us in panic about your son going through a situation, your daughter going through a situation. You all know yourselves. You need to show up. Show up with them. We have to show up. This is our opportunity. We have to show up. Wendell?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add something out of the 195 countries there are in the world, 80 of those countries presently celebrate International Men's Day. Even though 80 countries throughout the world has taken it upon themselves to celebrate International Men's Day, a day in which men are recognized as being a part of our society, still the UN has not ratified it, but choose instead to call it International Day of the Toilet. Right? I want people to wrap their minds around that as we continue. And I want to agree with Shervon in the call, as I said earlier. I am sure, because I am aware of how many mothers and grannies and aunties and sisters call me on a daily or weekly basis, concerned over what their male relative is suffering at the hands of some woman that he has children with, or the injustices that he is facing before the court. And don't be in your little corner and saying, well, that's them people business, and that I do business with that, and that ain't going to happen to me. There are many men who said the same thing when the Single Fathers Association came into being, and those same men came later on and said, I never thought that it was going to be me. Right? Granny, mommy, auntie, sister, those of you who call, we don't need you to call because you're concerned about what your male relative is suffering. Take action. You have the power in your hands to take action. Your presence at a match makes a difference. You know why it makes a difference? Because the government could continue to say, left fields and them make a certain noise, and they're not going to take us on. But do you know, when an entire body of people rises up in one voice, they have to pay attention.
Correct is right, Wendell. Correct is right. So I just posted in the chat the link to register, right, for the conference. Right. So please, as I told you all, you don't need a Wendell, again some background noise from me there. You don't need to register to attend on Sunday. Sunday is open, as many people can show up. All right. So again, for those of you just tuning in, we are hosting 3 days of activities in commemoration of International Men's Day, and to highlight the issues impacting men, as well as to develop solutions, collaborative solutions to address those issues. And so we start with our march on Sunday, this coming Sunday at 8 o'clock. We are gathering on the intersection of Brian Lara Promenade and Abercrombie Street in Port of Spain. 8 o'clock, Brian Lara Promenade and Abercrombie Street. And we'll be marching up towards the Queen's Park Savannah, or the colors wear blue. I forgot to mention that. My apologies. Blue is the color of the day for the march. And so on Monday, we then have the Youth Empowerment Day on Monday, and we'll be targeting issues impacting youth. We'll have powerful speakers, panels, entertainers, and so on the day. This will take place at Nales, Port of Spain, again at 8 a.m. Nales, Port of Spain, 8 a.m. on Monday. You must register to attend the Youth Empowerment Day, right? The link is in the chat. And on the final day, which is the Tuesday, we have the Men's Day, right? We're touching on the heavy issues impacting men. Panelists again, a powerful panelists. We've invited members of the judiciary, invited government representatives to be present so that we can engage them in developing solutions. Not a bashing session. It's to develop solutions. We want to see sustainable change. I want a time when Rondell, Wendell, and myself, we don't have to be here talking about these things anymore. That is the time I would like us to arrive to as a society. That is Tuesday, 8 a.m., and that's at Government Campus Plaza. Also have to register. Limited space for these events, so please register so that you can reserve your seat to be part of this, hopefully, game changer, society changing event for Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the wider Caribbean region, because as I said earlier, we have some regional representatives who are scheduled to attend on those days as well. Raj, I see a comment. Yes, we mentioned the young man or the young boy who took his life, unfortunately, yesterday. We made mention of that. And again, we use that to highlight the fact that this is one of the reasons we need to show up. All right. Again, if you want to call in, the numbers are 222-8255, 222-8255, right? If you're calling from US or Canada, it's toll free 866-525-1099, or you can WhatsApp on 318-1021, or continue to send your messages via our social media channels. Wendell, what do you look forward to seeing after this event? Mac, I'm throwing that to you as well. What are you all looking forward to see post this event? Because many times there are conferences and there are these types of events, and it seems like every year you have a conference and a conversation, but not much happening thereafter. What are you all looking forward to?
Well, I'm quite privy to that. I've been to a lot of conferences and workshops, and I don't see anything coming out of it. But I'm certainly hoping that this 3-day event that you guys are promoting and asking people to come out, I certainly hope that people will turn out and that it will be a resounding success, because based on what we see unfolding in society before our very eyes, social media, television, it's difficult to understand where men's rights are, whether it's a privilege, if there's equity or equality, the discussion is one that needs to be had for men to see themselves as integral roles in society. With the crime situation right now, I mean, about 80% of what is happening in the crime situation right now surround men, and I think we should try our best to make a stand to get especially the youth to understand their role as men in the society. God made man, and then he made a woman. I'm not saying there should be some sort of a division or one should be higher than the other. But I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, we are supposed to be leaders. We are supposed to be people who will inspire and motivate towards some sort of betterment and development of communities, and by extension, the entire society. So I would like to see an end result that will help to make that change that you're talking about.
Yeah, excellent, Mac. Excellent. I look forward to that as well. Wendell?
I'm looking forward to men coming forward and offering themselves to the task that we have ahead, that there would be continuity with this activism that was started by the Single Fathers Association, now the Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm looking forward to seeing men recognize their value and recognize that they have something to offer, that their voice is important, and that they need to make their voices heard and stand up for their sons and their daughters and their future grandchildren and the future generations, because we need to recognize that if we don't change things now and we allow the train to barrel out of control, it is going to be very difficult to stop it. So we need to do whatever we can do now, and I hope that men would recognize this and that they would stand up, because we are fighting, Shervon, myself, Marlon, Rondell. We don't have anything to gain or to benefit directly from this fight, from this battle, but we have children, and it is our sons and our daughters who will be facing the society of the future, and they are the children of tomorrow. They are the citizens of tomorrow. They are the leaders of tomorrow, and so our battle, our fight, our struggles to try to make a better society for the future generations. So I'm really hoping that men and women would recognize this, not just men, but men and women, because I am the one who always says that men did not create the problem by themselves, but whatever problems we face as a society were created by both men and women. So we need men and women to work together to solve the problems, to come up, to identify the problems and to come up with solutions and to work together to implement those solutions.
Yeah, definitely, Wendell. Definitely. I am looking forward, like yourself and Mac, to seeing solutions, to seeing at least a beginning of the change. I have no interest in having annual conferences and we can't look back and see Mac and Wendell in a tangible way any achievements or progress that we've made. The energy and the time and the resources that we put forward here, it must count for something. It must count. And yes, I smile, Wendell, every time we get a message from someone who came to us and they got a breakthrough and they got favor and they were able to navigate the system and connect with their children and so on. I'm happy for them, but I know behind that one person is thousands of other people who we can't reach, right? And we can't address in that type of way. And so what really needs to happen is a systemic change. And so I really would like to see measurable change post this conference and meaningful activities by all and sundry, by government and opposition, by men and women. That's another change I want to see. I would like to see men finally stand up. I would like to see. I remember the first conference, Wendell, that I attended, the first Fathers Association conference that I attended a number of years ago. Women outnumbered the men, and the women who were there came to talk about issues that were impacting their sons, their boyfriend, their husband, and so on. In some cases, there were women and men present. A couple were present. The man is who had the issue, but the woman was the one coming to the mic and talking about the issue the man was having, who was sitting right there. And so I would like to see a cultural change where men begin to take interest en masse in large numbers, not just the few men who speak, but men begin to take interest in numbers about the issues that impact them. Culturally, I would like to see that change. And I know we won't get it all done in one conversation. But as I said, I would, between now and the next International Men's Day, God's willing, we should be able to look back and say, yes, this came out of it and this has created that sustainable change. Donald, I see your comments. Donald is saying, what about men being incarcerated, unrepresented, and haven't a clue about the law? Donald, I'm glad you made that point because I want to say kudos to the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service and the Commissioner of Prisons who has initiated communication with us, who has engaged us. I don't know who initiated, who has engaged us, and they are going to be present on Sunday as well as the other days of activities. And to me, that is a bridge, Donald, in terms of us, the association, having productive dialogue with the executive of the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service to that will allow doors to be open for us to engage some of these men that you are referring to, right? Who may require different types of services. I also want to commend Vision and Mission, who I see have registered to attend the conferences as well. And again, we know Vision and Mission is a key partner in terms of rehabilitation of persons who have been incarcerated. And Mark just pointed to that, and so to Donald, that the majority of persons incarcerated are men, right? So I mean, I'm looking forward to meeting with these two key stakeholders and partners over the next couple of days and see what solutions we can forge together to move forward. So I want to say good evening to Assistant Commissioner, I hope I get your title right, Das, who has been speaking to me the last couple of days, as well as Commissioner Karasby, who has given this event its blessing and directed his officers to be present and participate. And a couple other persons from the prison services who would have reached out to us in the last couple of days to firm up details so that they can ensure they have representation at those events. That, to me, that's a really positive sign, Donald. And Donald, I know, I hope that you will be there as well. And so I know you're going to hold us based on your profession. You're going to ensure that that is done as well, that we make time to do that during the day's activities. But those online, tell us, what do you want coming out of this International Men's Day Conference? What do you want to see? Those online, if you want to call in, what do you hope to see? What is the change you hope to see? Because there are so many issues. We are not going to eat the elephant with one bite, so to speak. We have to take it point by point, part by part. And what is the change you hope to see? Donald also says here, there's a need to address the disparity of men to women being incarcerated. And Donald and Wendell, you could chime in here as well, and Mark. To me, it's a cultural issue here, right? And cultural to the extent of the behavior, and a lot of these persons now are young men, and boys to some extent. It goes back to the social issues, not cultural, sorry, social issues that we are facing as a society, right? The attraction to gang life and gang culture, the educational issues that we have. So people are going through the school system and leaving the school system in numbers who are not fit to enter the world of work, not qualified or fit, mentally fit, psychologically fit, or academically qualified to enter the world of work. And so if you are unable to work, Wendell and Mac, then chances are eventually you will turn to a life of crime. Wendell, you there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to agree with you with regards to what you're saying. The reality is you will find, I mean, we have educated criminals, right? Those that they call white collar crime and so on, right? But when it comes to criminality, day-to-day criminality, the element that comes into people's home invasions, the one who robs you of your gold chain, or that sort of crime, you will not find people who with their passes and their degrees and so on committing that type of crime. It would be people who fell through the cracks in the education system that you will find mostly committing those sort of crime and filling up the prison system. And again, people might say that Ronald likes to talk about the government and attack the government, but at the end of the day, you and I don't run the education system. We don't run the Ministry of Education. We don't run social services. We don't run community development. And these are the places and the areas where programs and initiatives can be taken to address those sorts of situations, to address school dropouts, to address children that are not high learners. There are children who are in school, and they always say education book can make for everybody, and it's a reality. Everybody can be doctors and teachers and lawyers. We need garbage collectors and so on. But if we don't make provision for the particular areas of discipline and we only focus on academia, then there are going to be people, children, boys, who will fall through the cracks with no education, with no trade skill, nothing to do, who will become pests.
Yeah. Key critical aspect. And one of the invitees are representatives on the Youth Empowerment Days, representatives of the Ministry of Education. And that is going to be a key discussion as well, Wendell, in terms of how we educate our boys. Again, there are so many studies that have spoken to the differences in how boys learn as compared to girls, right? There are so many studies that speak to how different people learn differently. And yet, still, we have a system of education that just caters for one stream of thinking, one type of approach. And so, if you are not able to swim in that current, then you'll just be pushed out, you'll drown in that system. And what again, some of these things make common sense, right? What what is going to become of those persons who come out of school with nothing? Yes, somebody is going to highlight the stories of a few people who didn't do well academically but still managed to make it. But is that the majority? And are we going to continue to say, well, this one do it so everybody else could do it and just that is the solution? No. We need to review the way we educate our boys and girls. We need to review it. We can't just continue doing the same thing as the old saying go and expecting a different result. No, as it says, it defines that as insanity. We need to review our educational system. ICT for boys, you know, there was a time, or there may be other countries where girls have fallen, were the ones who were behind where ICT is concerned. That, based on the survey done by the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, that is not the issue in Trinidad and Tobago. The issue in Trinidad and Tobago are boys are left behind. They are the ones behind. But we have also said that being the case, it don't mean that we stop educating girls. But we need to put emphasis to ensure boys are not left behind while we are educating girls. This notion that we have, and this is global, that is either supporting men or you're supporting women, or it's either you're investing in men or you're investing in women. It's either you're taking away from one to give. No, but I don't know where we came up with those things. If that is our approach, we will always have an imbalance and inequitable society. You don't create parity by cutting off the legs of somebody else. No, you add invest resources and you invest in strengthening the weaker side, but you continue to educate and make sustainable the demographic that is performing. It's again, it's, to me, it only seems to be common sense. So Trinidad and Tobago, we just have 5 minutes left on the program. Don. Okay, Don, I see the message and we will reach out to you Let me just take note of your email address, Don. We will reach out to you and see how we can do that. Yeah, after this weekend. But Don, please share, and I hope we see you present. Please share the upcoming activities on the upcoming International Men's Day activities. We have, again, as we wrap up, we have 3 days of activities coming up. On Sunday, we have the men's march, right? The color of the day is blue. We're asking persons to wear blue. We are meeting on the Brian Lara Promenade, the intersection of the Brian Lara Promenade and Abercrombie Street. And we are marching north on Abercrombie Street to the Queen's Park, Savannah. All right. And we are calling on persons, men and women, to show up, to come together to highlight the issues impacting men and boys in our society. Right? There are a plethora of issues that we've been going through over the years. Right? We had the young man yesterday who committed suicide. Second young man in the last couple of weeks to commit suicide. The staggering statistics across the board where men and boys and suicides are concerned. We have paternity leave, which is not a man issue, because when a man stays home on paternity leave, the goal is to support his family, his wife who has just given birth, his newborn, right? And there are many studies that speak to the benefits of paternity leave. We have the whole cultural perception of fathers and fatherhood in society, as Wendell pointed out, because of the mistakes of the minority that we magnify, and we demonize all men and fathers because of it. Show up this Sunday. We begin those activities. Brian Lara Promenade and Abercrombie Street, 8 a.m. Show up in blue. March to raise awareness to the issues affecting men. On Monday is our Youth Empowerment Day. We are focusing on young boys. Youth Empowerment Day, and this is taking place at Nales, Port of Spain. Starts at 8 a.m. as well. And on Tuesday, it's the International Men's Day event where we will be focusing on the issues that impact men in our society. And this starts at 8 a.m. as well, and it takes place at the Government Campus Plaza. Earlier, I posted a link in the chat to register for the events that take place on Monday and Tuesday because there's limited seating capacity. So please click on the link, register. Every person attending must register. So you can't register for 10 people, right? The 10 of you all must register so that we know it's 10 and could cater the seats for the 10 of you all. You don't require any registration on Sunday. Just show up with your walking shoes, show up with your refreshments and so on. Let us hold hands together, arm in arm. Let us get up, stand up. Let us stand up for our rights. Wendell, closing remarks?
Yeah, looking forward to both men and women supporting these programs that we have, the Fathers Association in collaboration with International Men's Day put forward. I encourage you all, get up, stand up. Stand for something or for everything.
Thanks, Wendell. Max.
Yes, my brother.
Are we going to see you on Sunday?
I have a lot of commitments on Sunday, but I certainly wish you guys all the success, and I'm looking forward to hearing the outcomes of these efforts that you guys are making so important for the development of Trinidad and Tobago by extension. You know, I'm a guy that is also involved in a lot of different things, so I'm more into the cultural aspect of our development. So there's a lot of pan events on this weekend in San Fernando on Saturday and in Port of Spain on Sunday. So I have to mix up my personal commitments with these events. But I certainly wish you guys all the best, and I look forward to people attending. We have a problem these days, especially with our young men, and it's about time we stand up and be counted as part and parcel of the effort that we should put in as Trinbagonians to make our place a better place for the young ones who are coming up.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for your well wishes. Trinidad and Tobago, it's been a pleasure. See you all on Sunday, God's willing. I hope to see you all on Sunday, God's willing. Get up, stand up. Let us stand together for our rights. Mark, thank you and the Power 102 team for creating this space, as always, for the voices of men to be heard, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much, Shervon, and thank you so much, Wendell. It's been a pleasure and highly informative, and I really do wish you all the success for the 3-day events that you have carded to empower men.
Thank you. That's sweet.
All right. Have yourself a wonderful, safe weekend. That's it for today's edition of Hard Talk, where we have in the spotlight the Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. And they're into promoting and setting up these 3 days in a collaboration with the celebration of International Men's Day, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I certainly wish you guys would come out and support.